That's a shake. The head went forward. That's it. We're live now. It's live. There we go. Johnny might be bluffing. Johnny might be telling the truth. It doesn't matter. We're going forward as if he's real. What's good, Whisper Nation? It is Monday after the Super Bowl. We're live now. Are we actually live, Johnny?
Yeah, we should be live.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We are live post Super Bowl Monday with another mock draft Monday coming your way. Hope all y'all Chief fans are doing okay and enjoy letting your voice get hoarse complaining about the refs. Go off, Kings. And for Tampa Bay fans, however many of y'all are there, enjoy quarterback Tom Brady earning his 7th. New England fans, I'm wondering really how you're feeling deep down on this one. I don't know. I know you all supported him getting to this point, but in your heart of hearts, I really wonder how you feel watching him lift another Super Bowl ring above his head that doesn't come from the Northeast. But that's neither here nor there. Travi, how are you doing? It's great to see you. How you doing post Super Bowl, man?
I'm good, man. Super Bowl was good. Got to grill up some good food and watch, the game. It wasn't a great game, but it is nice to see greatness. You mentioned Brady. I think we talked a little off air about just not really ever probably going to see anything like this ever again. And what a sport it is to do it in. Football is not easy in any way, shape, or form. And this guy is making it look easy to win Super Bowls. And that's just incredible. And I think it's just worth noting like how great he truly is.
Johnny, what was the most impressive part of what happened yesterday to you in what was pretty much just like a well-managed game from the Buccaneers perspective, which was kind of a boring Super Bowl from overall in some ways, but you tell me, what was the most exciting part, or what were you most impressed with?
The 31-9 score that ended the third quarter and the fourth quarter. It gave me the victory on the squares for both the third and fourth quarter. So that was the most exciting part for me. That was what I was rooting for the most. So yeah, that's where I stood on the game. I was enjoying that part.
Right on, man. Well, welcome, Whisper Nation, to our mock draft Monday. We're doing a 12-team PPR mock draft here. And if you'd like to join along with us and draft with us live, go ahead and hop on the Fantasy Whispers Twitter account. Johnny has sent out the link to join our live mock draft. You can come in here and join the rest of the crew. Speaking of, I got to give a shout out here to our live draft room here. We got Macedona, the FF Grinder, the Fantasy 5, Johnny Game Time Picks, of course, Ryan Mobley, Jacob Bley, our #1 fan, and of course, Big Travi. We've still got 4 spots left, and we're going to get started here in just a minute. So if you haven't yet joined the live Sleeper app lobby, you can go ahead and do so, as well as follow along on YouTube, where we've got 5 folks watching right now. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great start to your week after the Super Bowl. If you're in our live chat here and you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do us a favor. Go ahead and hit that bell, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up right now. It allows this live stream to broadcast out further. We can bring more good folks in the mix here and get our live draft going. Travis got the idea right there with the 2 thumbs up. We're going to go get in here and started in just a second. It's a 12-team PPR. We've got 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, quarterback, tight end, no kickers, no defense, just 13 rounds. But the exciting bit on this one, we've got rookies in the mix. Isn't that right, Johnny?
Yes, we've been wondering when it's going to happen. We've been asking for it. We've been mocking anyway. It doesn't stop us or prevent us from mocking. But now we don't know where the rookies are going to go. It's all speculation at this point. But that just adds to the drama. That adds to the suspense. I'm excited to see where guys like Najee Harris goes. See how craze and the thirst of running backs and rookie running backs comes up in this first mock draft with rookies.
Rookie stonks on the way. We'll see how they go up and down.
To the moon.
To the moon, baby. Diamond hands only. Get those paper hands out of here.
Yeah.
Big Travi, anything that people need to know before we fire this mock draft up? We got 3 spots left. We just were joined by Pyro0926. Thanks for joining us, Pyro. It's great to have you with us.
He's gonna be lighting up this mock draft, dude.
Nice Pyro reference.
Yeah,
that was hot.
I don't know if there's anything crazy. I mean, I think I'm still continuing to draft based on what I know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty as far as free agency moves. Just today was looking at some of the Packers Twitter with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams both getting new agents. just in time for their unrestricted free agency. So a lot of that will come into play, I think, as the offseason goes on. But I'm going to assume that these guys are still on the teams that they say they're on, and we'll draft accordingly that way. But
agreed. We'll definitely be switching up our mock drafts, ADPs. All of that is going to change pretty much every single week until kickoff comes, around Labor Day. But right now, we are still getting started. This helps give you a great baseline of where folks are at and monitoring those switches as actual drafts get closer and have you get a leg above the rest of your league by liking and subscribing to the Fantasy Whispers and joining us here in our mock drafts. We do them every Monday. If you don't catch us this week, hop in for next week. We'll see you. We'll see you then. Johnny, is there anything we need to do before we get this one started?
No, I think we should go ahead and hit that start button. What do we say, boys?
Fire it up.
All
right, let's do it. And remember, when you're doing your drafts, always know the rules. Always make sure you got the fundamentals in line. Again, this is a 12-team PPR up 3 wide receiver league. Keep that in mind as you're moving forward. I know I'm going to go ahead and start this off. I like Alvin Kamara right now. It's just a fun one to get going in a PPR league. The man looks like a truly special running back still and might even just be getting better. Travi, is there anybody at the top of your list you're hoping to snag in redraft leagues coming up this year with what we know now at least?
I think Kamara is nice. I think there's some hesitation depending on what they do at quarterback, but I do think between him and CMC, especially in PPR, are guys I would love to have on my roster at the top of, as you said there. So I don't mind the Kamara pick. I think Kamara is, usually underrated in most drafts. This year is probably not going to be the case because he dominated and was even more efficient than he's ever been. And that's good news for a guy that lives off efficiency. But, we saw when Taysom Hill was in the lineup as the starting quarterback, the receptions were not there for a guy in Alvin Kamara who averages about 7 receptions per game, or averaged about 7 receptions per game last year. So that's something that you want to try and take a look at. But obviously we got to, like we said at the top, we're drafting based on what we know right now.
Let's see what the rest of Whisper Nation knows at this point in time. Following Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey was the next off the board, picked by Macedonia, followed by Devontae Adams, first wide receiver gone. Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, and Johnny Game Time Hicks picks up Derrick Henry, your AP Offensive Player of the Year as of this weekend. It's been fully announced. Johnny, would you be taking Derrick Henry 1-1? Did he fall to you right here, or how are you kind of stacking up these early folks looking down the pipeline right now?
I mean, still, I think in a PPR league, you're still going to take – this is about where he's going to go. Now, Saquon Barkley, that's the big question. Where's Saquon going to go? That's probably like the number one question that you'll see this whole offseason is just where he's at in his rehab. But being that it's a PPR league, I still think Saquon, barring any setbacks, should still go above Derrick Henry. Just – we don't know how much he's going to get involved. We keep wondering they keep saying they're going to get him more involved in the passing game, but we haven't seen it yet. But again, Derrick Henry is a beast. He'll get you there rushing the ball. So yeah, I think Derrick Henry is going to be awesome. I think that this year, a lot of the running backs that you're going to get in the first round, I know that we tend to say that. We said that last year, and then it ended up, turning up on us, but I think that there's a lot of safer running backs in the first round this year.
And maybe when you say safer, that kind of translates to the tiers are a little blended, right?
Yeah.
Like you could be the middle kind of backside. Right now, Big Travi just picked up Nick Chubb, who you can make a case for as being the best running back in the NFL in an optimal system, whose coach was just named Coach of the Year, who doesn't really have any signs of regression up ahead. I know Kareem Hunt is there, but that doesn't really keep him from getting 17 fantasy points a game, it seems like.
Yeah,
and Jonathan Taylor there. Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, look at that.
Like, what were you thinking right there, Big Travi? I love the Jonathan Taylor pick. I love seeing him go above Joe Mixon, above Austin Eckler. I kind of put him right there with Josh Jacobs for me in terms of role on the team, talent, all that kinds of stuff. What was going through your mind with Jonathan Taylor? Pairing him up with Nick Chubb there at the back of the first round.
Yeah, just so many things that we look. He's got the pedigree he had the pedigree coming in as a prospect. We knew he should be good in the NFL, but he was a slow starter, had vision issues, had usage issues. But then over the last month, Jonathan Taylor was the best running back in fantasy football. and that was better than Derrick Henry, better than David Montgomery, better than Alvin Kamara. So this is a guy that ended strong. And if we looked at, some precedents, speaking of Derrick Henry, a couple years ago, Derrick Henry ended the year strong and then finally figured his running lanes out behind a really strong offensive line. That's exactly what's there. And I'm also kind of banking on the Colts figuring out their quarterback situation, whether it be via free agency or whether it be via trade. They're linked to the Carson Wentz speculation right now as well. So we'll just see how that kind of shakes out.
What do I think this might be an interesting section that we could do down the road here for the Fantasy Whispers would be what players are one off-season addition away from taking a tier up? Like what quarterback would Jonathan Taylor need on the team to all of a sudden be really moving his ADP and expectations ahead? You talked about Alvin Kamara might having a drop down from the quarterback he's going to be behind center this year.
Right, and I think if we even look at some precedents with the Colts themselves, like Brissett with Marlon Mack, like Marlon Mack was still an RB2 with Brissett in the lineup. So it's not that I think Jonathan Taylor's a much better running back than Marlon Mack. So I think that there's still a potential for Jonathan Taylor to finish as an RB1 even with Brissett, but I think the upside is probably a little capped here. Whereas I think, you get a Carson Wentz in there. Not that I love Carson Wentz, but in that kind of system, with that kind of line, he should do big things there.
Oh, there we go. And I went ahead and finished out that first round, running that second round back here. Jonathan Taylor.
That's a fun 3 you got there, Austin.
Isn't it kind of fun? I like what was emerging there at the end of that first. After Jonathan Taylor was DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Mixon off the board, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, Aaron Jones, Stephon Diggs, Miles Sanders is gone, Calvin Ridley too, Kenyon Drake. I closed out the second there with Julio Jones and started the third with DK Metcalf. I'm not hurting on that stack there. Mike Evans was taken right after. But this kind of brings up an interesting point when we're drafting really early right here, Johnny and Travis, is that we're taking last season to heart. It's still really close to us, and we just had the Super Bowl yesterday. Has your draft strategy changed at all, especially in these early rounds, kind of where we're at right now from last year? Did any new information come out in the 2020 season that's going to affect your 2020 draft outlook? I'll ask Johnny first because Travis got a draft here in a second.
I mean, definitely the Matthew Stafford trade, right? That affected a lot of pieces in my eyes. You have Robert Woods. Could see a major, like, he was already very, very good. He's already heavily involved in that game plan. Now you're giving him a quarterback that would like to push the ball down the field a little bit more. You're talking like Cooper Kupp. What does this do for him? I think, the relationship was so there was such a relationship between Goff and Cooper Kupp, especially in the red zone. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Cooper Kupp now. You might be able to get Cooper Kupp at a discount because maybe that hype or, maybe a lot more people start downgrading Cooper Kupp. And then you've also got Van Jefferson there, who looked like a very solid rookie, and we'll see how he takes the next step. And then, adversely, for Detroit, you're looking at, okay, now you have Jared Goff instead of Matthew Stafford. Now, what does this look like? And new coaching staff. Do they bring back Kenny G? That offense could look completely different. Marvin Jones is also a free agent. So they've got a lot of question marks at the wide receiver position over there.
That's a great dynamic you bring up, Johnny. Travis, I'm really taken back by all the conversations going on with Matt Stafford and Jared Goff. And you saw such an overhaul or an imbalance, if you will, balancing out the Matt Stafford acquisition by sending all of these picks over along with Jared Goff. And I'm asking, is Matt Stafford really that much better than Jared Goff? Honest question, Travi. What do you think?
It's a fun speculation to be in. I have to catch myself in these debates because, the old angry man in me wants to be like, we can't make this decision yet. Like we have to see it on the field. Like we can speculate all we want, but like, if they go to the Super Bowl and win, then yes, the trade was worth it. And that's the bottom line. But, we've got to check it out. Do I think that he's that much better? No, but the Rams had shot themselves in the foot trading up to go and get Jared Goff in the draft that they drafted him in, and then also paying him just this last offseason a monster contract. And so, yes, they had to go and make this move with the picks they did, because that was what it cost to get that contract off their books. Do I think he's that much better? Probably not. Do I think he has what it takes to get them to the next level? Yes. But this is, I mean, as much as it is on the Rams, this is on Stafford, who's never faced this kind of pressure before, because Detroit has never really gotten there.
Right.
And so, yeah, this is an interesting one. It's a big one, and it's a big gamble.
I'm so excited, not to spend too much time on this specific dynamic here, but I'm so curious to see what Matt Stafford and the Rams end up pulling out together, because I think that Detroit has been this black hole for talent and opportunity for so long. I mean, goodness gracious, the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the exact same amount of NFC North titles as the Detroit Lions do. Yeah, that's right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the same amount of NFC North titles as the Detroit Lions do from when they were in that division during the expansion. But I mean, the Detroit Lions are the organization that has Megatron, one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, retire with so many years left. They've had like 3,000-yard rushers ever. That's not a real stat, but like they never get productive running backs. Their coaches, that coaching carousel is like the one at the mall. It just goes and goes for a freaking quarter. But Matt Stafford, like, he's gotten paid a lot. He's been over there for a really long time. He's thrown for 5,000 yards. But what is he really going to do now with Sean McVay and a successful organization that the Rams are? I'm really excited to see what this is. And now I'm excited to draft the fourth round and fifth round picks.
I think that Matthew Stafford is significantly better than Jared Goff. You look at what Jared Goff, at his peak, he threw for 32 touchdowns and actually I need to look up the yardage, because I think it was we looked this up the other day, Travis. It was 4,000 yards, I think, passing.
Yeah, I think somewhere around there. Yeah, I would agree with you that I think that he's significantly better. I think that, you know, Goff in his prime was really in a system that was multifaceted. You know, when Todd Gurley was the main weapon in that offense, it made Goff look good because the play action was hitting so well. I don't know if the running game kind of failed Goff at the end, and I don't want to make excuses for the guy. I think he's a fine quarterback. I think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I just don't know that he is the guy that's going to win you ball games. And I think that's what the Rams feel like they need, especially after injuries to the running game last year.
Winning ball games is what Detroit and the Rams are trying to do. Winning fantasy games is what we are all here trying to do. And in this fourth round, we saw A.J. Brown lead off, followed by Robert Woods, Todd Gurley, Kenny Golladay, the aforementioned, Chris Carson gone, Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Moore, J.K. Dobbins, Darren Waller, James Conner, Terry McLaurin, and DeAndre Swift closed out the fourth round. Antonio Gibson there started the fifth. And I think we're at this really interesting time right now in the mock, with Johnny shaking his head, of starting to see maybe where the ADP is off or opportunities that exist right now. What are some players that you're seeing develop in this mock draft we're in right now that are making you say, like, oh, that guy's going to move a lot, expect a lot of movement here? I saw James Robinson in the third. There's no way James Robinson with Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence stays that far back or goes after some of these guys we saw there. But
do you think he moves into the second?
I don't see why not, right? Like, tell me, like,
James Robinson over Joe Mixon.
Yeah, no,
yeah, I think he belongs.
I don't think it's a. I was a little.
I think
surprised
he belongs in the beginning of the second and to the somewhere in the second. If you look at Aaron Jones, you look at Austin Eckler, some of these guys that went there last year. I think he's well within his rights after what he put on paper this year to be there. And if nothing changes, if nothing changes,
Austin Eckler,
yeah,
going on. Because he's not.
If nothing changes in that backfield too, right? Like, then he's for sure right there.
I don't disagree with it. I think it should. I think he will probably end up going in the second. Dang it! I really I don't like the wide receivers are here. I think I could get better value by waiting.
That's where I was at too.
Here we go. Hold on. I got 21 seconds.
Travis, I want to take a moment here to shout out Whisper Nation. We've got in the chat thread while Johnny Game Time is making his pick here. Darius Rice, what's going on, man? Great to have you with us. He's doing some mock dating himself. Oh, no, mock draft. some
mock dating.
I was like, all right, run the simulation, man. Good for you. Henry R says, how do I get into the mocks? Question mark. Does anybody know? Calm down, bro. We got you. We're good. Travis on it already. We tweet out the links before we start. We'll be mocking next Monday as well. We're also dropping weekly, daily content. So make sure you've liked and subscribed, both on YouTube, but then also followed along on Twitter and Instagram so you can catch Johnny Game Time Hicks fire tweets with the links, inviting you to join all the fun that we got here, along with the rest of Whisper Nation. But I know that Big Travie here is getting ready for his 5th round pick. I wanted to ask Johnny.
Getting ready for Jacob Bley to snipe me here. I can just feel it. It's coming, dude. First time in the draft. It's going to be right here. I know.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood movie right now, blowing Travis's stuff up on there. Jacob Bley, our #1 fan. CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, man.
And he did. Oh, I know how much you've been talking about CeeDee. I'm expecting exciting things out of CeeDee.
I'm excited for CeeDee. I was looking at him. He was probably my top wide receiver option. I just didn't know. 5th round, mid-5th round. I don't know yet. That's something I want to.
Yeah, it's not it for me.
Yeah.
Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper are not old, and they're not bad, and their snap percentage is very high. So, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, does CeeDee Lamb have the highest ceiling of those 3 wide receivers at this point? Now we've got a year under the belt. Is that the future alpha in Dallas, Johnny?
I mean, I do think he's the future alpha for sure. Once contract things kind of shake out, he's the rookie there, and he's showing a lot of potential.
So good.
Yeah. My thing is, and it'll be interesting. This theory will probably develop as we go through the offseason, but as of right now, I'm kind of treating him like I would like running an RBBC. It's a good RBC, like something like in what Atlanta used to be, kind of, or we'd say in San Francisco, where we're always saying let's just draft the last guy, the best value here, and that's because the offense is going to be good. And we've seen the offense under Dak, as long as Dak gets back, and everything is showing that he will be back in time. And so it's kind of like, well, give me the best piece, or give me the cheapest piece in that offense, because I just want a piece of the offense, and I'm going to get the best value, and that could be Michael Gallup. Like, Michael Gallup is a tremendous – I think a lot of people underestimate how good he is, and so it's like that's where I was kind of like looking, because I'm like, I do like CeeDee Lamb. I think he could be a very good wide receiver. I think he could be a wide receiver 2, potentially a wide receiver 1 next year. But it's like,
Johnny, I got goose pimples all over my body, below the belly button included, which is like the impactful ones. I know,
dude.
And it reminds me of Travis' pick here, who took Tyler Lockett there in the 5th, of when Philly Chelsea took Tyler Lockett like in the 13th round, like 3 years ago in our league of record. And that ended up being arguably the steal of the draft. And Johnny, you just brought up Michael Gallup, and I got similar vibes that I did with Tyler Lockett back in the day. It's like Michael Gallup should still probably be Dak Prescott's #2 option. Michael Gallup, who Mike McCarthy said last year is a #1 wide receiver. He didn't say he's our #1, but from a talent perspective and prototypical sense, he is a wide receiver 1 who's never looked like bad. He's just been involved with other good players, and there's a lot of mouths to feed. That could emerge, though, as a sneaky steal this year, right?
Yeah.
Like, am I getting too excited, Travi? Like,
I'm sorry, I was in the chat. I didn't hear who we were talking about.
We're talking about Michael Gallup. We're talking about Michael Gallup, and you took Tyler Lockett here, and Tyler Lockett was Russell Wilson's #2 back in the day, with Doug Baldwin being that #1. And Tyler Lockett ended up eating even more into the workload. Is Michael Gallup getting some of those vibes where he could be this year's Tyler Lockett of 3 years back?
I like the way they use Gallup similarly. I like that comp a little bit, because they had him going go routes down the field quite a bit, especially when Dak was healthy. So I'm a big fan of Gallup. I think his game is super solid. He should stay in the league and stay productive for a long time. And you get a fully healthy Dak, man. Especially with the way the line is trending, the offensive line, I think this is going to be a team that throws a lot, especially with Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore. I think healthy Dak is the key there, because we saw Gallup, kind of fall off in a big way without Dak. But with him in there, yeah, heck yeah.
And speaking of upside, mobile-ish quarterback, Deshaun Watson is now off the board. We had that false alarm of the Patriots deal going through. I know that it probably went through a lot of chats too. That one was a pretty popular one. What do you guys think are popular destinations, or what would be an ideal destination from you, looking at Deshaun Watson from a fantasy perspective? Johnny, what would you think would be an ideal situation for Deshaun Watson.
I would ideally like him to go to either Denver or which I don't know how much potential that actually has, but the one that actually has a lot of potential and I would really love would be Miami because they have a lot of young talent. They're rumored to potentially be adding a rookie running back this year, and so potentially Najee Harris, he's been linked there. Anyway, I think that, and then you've got Devontae Parker, you've got these other Preston Williams, you've got these other young pieces, Mike Gesicki, that it just would be like, okay, that would be such an upgrade for Deshaun Watson, and then it's like, okay, we could potentially really see the high upside of Deshaun Watson now because now he's got all these playmakers. And
an organization that seems a little bit more solid. And then I think on the other side, Johnny, that's not a bad deal for Houston. If you're able to acquire Tua, who had a really good year last year, you look like this is a fundamental quarterback with upside. And you need a little bit of that fundamental ability as well as some youth to combine with that timeline Houston's going to need to journey down to actually bring in a real quality football team. But Deshaun Watson also isn't. Deshaun Watson's what, like 26 years old? He's 25 years old. He's like a second-year quarterback in some instances. So this is just a really interesting situation. And I guess for me, Travis, are you concerned at all by Deshaun Watson's health? Is that something that teams should be factoring in, or is this still a potential Michael Jordan-esque football player the way that his college coach described him coming into the NFL?
Yeah, I think it's just, we've talked about this at length, when coming to fantasy football and thinking through the health aspect. Do you want to try and predict injury? And I'm just going to swing for the upside every single time. So, yeah, I'm going to take Deshaun Watson, regardless of his play style being a little bit reckless at times. But I'm a big fan of his game, and I think the way that he tilts the field is similar to that of a Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers or a Lamar Jackson. And so that's a guy I want on my team for sure.
Well, that tilt of the field, maybe an ability to make an impact past what's sitting there without you on the or an average quarterback filling in, how much more of an influence you would have over that replacement average level player. Speaking of average level players, I think in the 7th round, you start to get to see some interesting crossroads and where these players are going to emerge. We saw Will Fuller start off the 7th round, followed by Devontae Parker, Cortland Sutton, T. Higgins, Aaron Rodgers, Marquise Brown, A.J. Green, Raheem Mostert, Mark Ingram, T.Y. Hilton. Jacob Bley, number one fan, is picking right before Big Travie's back on the clock for that 7-8 turn. Johnny, any other players right now standing out that you see coming off the drafts that you're getting excited about, or players to keep in mind as the seasons progress that are going to have a lot of movement? Guys you might think you're going to be able to get super late, but maybe we should temper that excitement right now because there's not a shot in hell that come real draft time they're going to be where they're at now.
Well, I mean, so I'll answer the first guy that I am intrigued by and seeing where he does go. I don't think that his draft stock will move it will a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to move significantly. But Cortland Sutton, now this guy was a wide receiver that was being taken in the 4th round last year. And he was showing some real potential. Now, obviously, he had the injury, and so you have to monitor that. And usually they're a little bit slow getting back. So that's why I do think his stock, his draft stock, could kind of stay around the same. But what I like about it is that you look at that offense, and they really like to funnel to that wide receiver one. And depending on what Denver does this offseason and things like that, they're sure like Drew Lock would have to take an uptick. But the thing that you saw, Drew Lock was significantly inaccurate on his throws, but someone who can counter that is actually Cortland Sutton, because he can change the way that he
big catch radius.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be someone that I'm really kind of monitoring, that I'm looking at in this later rounds.
I think that whole 7th round right there, Johnny, is kind of an interesting collection, specifically of wide receivers. the round that Cortland Sutton, who you were just talking about, was gone. In that same round, we saw Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, T. Higgins, Marquise Brown, and then AJ Green was auto-drafted, so we'll forget about that last one. And then also T.Y. Hilton, right? We got T.Y. Hilton, Marquise Brown, T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller. Those are all really high upside wide receivers, but with some big question marks, right?
Yeah, well, especially if T.Y. Hilton gets Carson Wentz, then I think that could be some real juiciness, boys. We could see some movement on aisle 7. We could see it with T.Y. Hilton, because we were seeing him come alive with Phillip Rivers, Mr. Noodle Arm 3.0. He was
end of the season.
Yeah.
I got to ask you guys this. I think I know Johnny's answer, but I wanted to get Austin's kind of take on this. Do we think that Carson Wentz is good at football still? Do we think that what we saw was more of the Eagles' surrounding cast of characters, or do we think it was more on Carson Wentz? Do we think a change of scene really is going to revive him?
Travi, when we did some of the breakdowns last year, some of our in-depth breakdowns from the matchup perspective, I remember going into Carson Wentz near the end of the season and taking a look at his advanced metrics in terms of clean pocket accuracy, under pressure accuracy, overall QBR, deep field attempts, accuracy, all these different things. And that dude was in like every metric outside of the top 32. And it was like under pressure, he was better than he was in a clean pocket, but he was still like number 33. He looked like Zach Ertz.
Ladies and gentlemen, there were only 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at better numbers to scale of these backup quarterbacks than we are of Carson Wentz, former number 2 overall pick. So I need to see something different, Travi. Like, I need to see Carson Wentz show me that he's not who we saw this year. To me, he does not get the benefit of the doubt. And if my Packers were thinking about picking up Carson Wentz, I would not be stoked about it unless he was coming in as a reserve role. I don't think he's a savior. If you're a New England fan and you're picking up Carson Wentz, I think that's another Cam Newton 2.0 type of situation where you're going to get good moments, but you're not going to get a good season.
So you think he's done? You think he's cooked?
I think he's done being an MVP knocking on the door contender for sure. I think he maybe is startable.
Here's the one thing I would say. If he goes to, I am intrigued by him going to Chicago. I am a little bit, sometimes it's the play calling. And the one thing I'll say is there was an instance in which it was like a Monday night football game, and Carson Wentz was being interviewed, and he said, he was like, the struggle is these plays that are being called, that Doug Peterson doesn't realize like the time it takes in order to set this up, and like our line isn't being able to hold up in order to get this, this play off. And so like I think that if you have a different system for him where he doesn't have to maybe hold the ball so much, and like the play calling isn't I might have confused that story with Nick Foles
And Matt Nagy.
Okay, so maybe we don't want him to go to Chicago. I take it all back.
Opinions change with new information over here, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you know you can rely on what we're saying.
Basically, I want him to go to Indianapolis because he had his best year with the coach, head coach,
Frank
Reich. So and we've seen what he could do with different quarterbacks. That's the other thing I like about him, is like we've seen him with Jacoby Brissett and what he can do. We saw him with Andrew Luck. We saw him with Phillip Rivers, and he made it successful for each one of those. And they're all different kind of style quarterbacks. And so I do think that and like Carson Wentz would get a little bit confident. Maybe I don't know if he has his confidence shaken. And so maybe this would help with that. The familiarity with the system could help him. I just think he needs out of Philly, man. You're dating.
What's going on in the water in Philly?
Your partner is a Philly fan.
Bad things happen in Philadelphia.
Bad things happen.
Bad things. If you're Santa Claus, you get hit with snowballs. If you're Doug Peterson, you're out 2 years after winning a Super Bowl. If you're Carson Wentz, the Monstars come and took all your talent.
It's funny.
Who knows what goes on?
Johnny confusing those two stories, with Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy. And I remember Foles saying, like, Matt Nagy doesn't realize how long he needs to call these plays, or how long we need to call these plays. But one of those guys still has a job, and that's Matt Nagy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's done a
BDN,
decent job.
The BDN still has a job right now. He's just going to be traded.
I was just talking about the two different coaches there.
Oh, got it.
I think, it's interesting. I don't know if Carson Wentz is still good at football. I struggle to see it, and a lot of that's backed up in what Austin was saying in those numbers. And I think those are the deep metrics we like to look at because they tell the story really of what's going on. But yeah, I think a change of scene, especially to a team as good as Indianapolis, could really get it going for him. I think that's what he would need. Chicago, I wouldn't. Chicago just reminds me of of Philly.
You can't write these people off. Like, I'm with you, and like it could switch up because these are human beings and they have real circumstances that are different. I'm just reminded of Kyrie Irving crossing over into the NBA, where he had like that week or two where he was gone, he was MIA, he left Brooklyn, and a lot of people saying a lot of intense words following that. And I'm not here to judge any of that take on what he did. But if you see what the man did post coming back from that, and he came out and talked about mental health and he wasn't in a good spot, and the dude's averaging 30 points a game since he's come back after that's happened. And you just wonder what happens with a change in scenery, because the talent for Wentz is real. It's there. He's got the yips, or he's lost his mojo, or whatever is going on. It seems like it could be fixed mentally.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes that change of scenery too. You need to be bought back in to being a leader again, getting a new group of men to lead.
You gonna buy back in?
I need to see it though.
You gonna buy back in?
Whisper Nation. If there's anybody that you're curious about too, if you think that they just lost it, or maybe they're coming back and they're coming back, they got more left in the tank, like Antonio Brown showed us on that touchdown yesterday. Someone that Johnny Game Time Hicks had been prophetizing about coming back to an epic return all season long, much to his own chagrin, because he took so much heat from a lot of people, myself included, on how ridiculous an idea it was that the man would last more than 3 games if he was invited back to the NFL. And he's got a ring. He's dancing in the end zone.
Well, what was funny, just do you see that picture he posted on his Instagram where it said it was his draft card, Antonio Brown's draft card, and he was like, he put in on his, he was like, NFL, or he tweeted out like, NFL, when are you gonna realize greatest 6th round pick in the history of the NFL? And it's like, bro, do you not,
Tom Brady right there?
Yeah, it's like, do you not realize who's in the locker room with you? And like, what? But yeah, that's kind of funny.
Oh, that takes her is wild too. I saw one of those from inside the celebratory locker room of one of the Bucks players on their Instagram live or whatever, being like, "Oh, they want me to show Tom. Like, Tom is in a different space. Here's Tom," and it just shows Tom over in the corner, just stacking his bag up, just like it's a normal day of high school, closing down the day at 3:00, just loading up, moving on. Everyone's going Buck, and he's just doing his thing.
Big Travie over here.
I thought I could wait.
Yeah, you thought you could.
Last round, TJ Hawkinson, but I see Austin got him.
Oh, TJ is gonna be. He's gonna be a major sleeper tight end. He's gonna be on a lot of people's lists this year.
I was also thinking about
tight end. I don't know how he could be a sleeper, but sure.
Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram, and TJ Hawkinson were on my board right there at that spot. I took TJ Hawkinson over Henry or Ingram, but it was kind of close. I just think he's got the most physical capabilities, and the role on the team is pretty ripe. Also excited by the Jared Goff insertion, what that could mean. But how would you stack those ones up, Travie, now that you've moved on? Obviously Hawkinson over Ingram or Henry?
Yeah, over those two. I think that Ingram's inconsistency, especially with health, is a problem. I do love me some Evan Ingram, though. I think he's a talented specimen. I think he should be a breakout guy, but he's hard to trust. And then Hunter Henry, we just saw that Herbert wasn't a typical rookie quarterback. He didn't, just pepper his tight end. He peppered the wide receivers and everyone. So the fact that Herbert's really good kind of hurts Hunter Henry just a little bit, just because he's able to spread it around. But maybe he's like a Rodgers who just doesn't love his tight end. He just prefers the wide receiver game. Yeah, and it's like when you have Keenan Allen and you have Mike Williams and you have some of these other guys that he even got involved, why not? Especially Austin Eckler. We've talked about this before. When you have a receiving running back, A lot of the times they're running the same routes as a tight end on the field, in the middle of
Ooh.
the field, coming out of the flat. So sometimes that is a little detrimental to that player. You know, for the sake of the team, it's good, but maybe not so much for the fantasy football outlet.
Yeah, receiving running backs running similar routes to tight ends, especially if you're playing Brett Zabel and Madden, they're running the same route, aren't they?
Oh man, Brett
I like
Zabel in Madden is like it's the equivalent of like somebody in Tekken who does the sidekick and just beats you in Tekken with the sidekick the whole time.
Do it on that B button, baby.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Brought up Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram to me kind of feels like the new Jordan Reed. Not inconsistent due to health, and when he's there, he's still good. Like Jordan Reed was even still good a couple of games when George Kittle went down last year. It wasn't like he's just kind of faded into dark like Zach Ertz. Maybe, fingers crossed, hasn't, but maybe did. But Evan Ingram's, it's like he's always good. It's just, is he going to get the opportunity? Is he going to be out there? He's their best wide receiver.
Here's the thing. I want to know. I'm pretty sure Jacob Bley is following along on YouTube. He straight up sniped Chase Edmonds from me. I'm pretty sure he saw that I was going to take it because people could see my screen. That was unfortunate because I thought I was going to get Chase Edmonds. And then you had Drake Travio here also taking Javonte Williams. I can't believe you took him after. Oh my gosh, you're killing me.
Oh, smoke and mirrors in the beginning, telling you that he's not going to take these rookies.
I'm not taking
more,
any rookies today.
Took a couple rookies.
Oh yeah, exactly. I can't believe you, dude. Unbelievable.
Johnny, you talk about Chase Edmonds. You're living in Arizona right now. I see that beautiful cardinal over your left shoulder sitting on top of that Cardinals helmet.
Yeah,
very nice, very nice.
Philly Chelsea, she sent me that for Christmas.
Little care package, little I love you coming your way.
Yeah.
Is Chase Edmonds going to be more than a backup this year?
I mean, it's going to really deter if they can bring Drake back on a pretty inexpensive contract. I think I think they do that. I'm a little worried. There are some rumors that maybe Mark Ingram comes here, which would just be hideous and gross. Hope that doesn't happen. But I do ultimately think that they are going to try and get Chase Edmonds more involved and be the more featured back unless they do. If they resign Drake, I think they'll continue to go with what they're doing, because it's kind of working. But I do think that if they are like, oh, we're going to let Drake go, we could see them either draft a later rookie running back. We could see, they took a rookie last year and Benjamin. We could see him potentially come back and Chase and him be the 1 and 2. So there's a lot of question mark. Obviously, that's why Chase Edmonds is still a 10th rounder as of right now. Talk about someone who do I expect his draft stock to majorly go up or down? Chase Edmonds would be that guy because I think if he is you look at Drake. Drake is going in the 2nd round. I think that, I don't know if Chase would go all the way that high, but maybe you'd probably be looking at Chase as like an end of 3rd, early 4th round guy. So he can make a huge jump this offseason, depending on how that shakes out with the Cardinals.
I don't know why, but Jacob Bley's laughing at you, Johnny. He says, tell Game Time, ha, in the chat, in the sleeper chat.
Exactly, because he did. He saw that I was going to take Chase. Because Chase was further down on the mock because his ADP hasn't adjusted. And so I scrolled down to see who I wanted so I didn't run out of time because I almost did last pick. And
like if you look at Ryan Weiss, our friend from he's at the Fantasy 5 in the sleeper mock, but he's our friend from Club FFL. He takes A.J. Dillon in the 10th here. I mean, that's a steal of the draft right there, especially if we assume that
I was hoping
Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams are gone. So
I was hoping
I hope that doesn't happen.
I was hoping AJ was going to fall to 11th.
No, you weren't, dude. You didn't even see him.
I did.
You didn't see him.
Sounds like Jacob Bley's taking up a lot of space in your mind there.
Dude. He owns you right now.
I was so ready to take Chase, and then when he did,
Jacob Bley might as well be that star-spangled headband on your head,
just wrapped around your mind.
And now Chase Claypool comes off the board. He was the other guy I was kind of looking at.
Oh yeah,
I'm off the rails.
It's
man.
like when a guy, one of those long shot waiver guys, goes off, and then you're sitting with your buddies and you're like, oh,
I said that guy's name once.
Yeah, I was looking at him. I thought of him once.
I've thought of him before.
You know what? I'm gonna redeem myself on this. I think this is gonna be number one running back for the New England next year. Damian Harris.
No, because he was the number one running back last year.
Yeah. So
Nice.
epto facto connect the dots, dude.
Connect the dots.
Now, Damian Harris really was an underrated gem last year. He just didn't get crazy opportunity, but yards per carry, efficiency, all that good stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Definitely tailed off the end and didn't complete his time. But he's 23 years old. He's coming into his third season. He had a chunk of 100-yard plus games. It's tough to do for the Patriots, especially with Cam Newton as that main running back.
Listen, you can rattle me for one round, but I'm back in it, man. I'm focused. I was ready to go with this 11th round. Despite having AJ Dillon and Chase Claypool both come off the board, who I really wanted.
As Jacob Bley is making his 11th round pick, this is a pretty interesting round. This is a fun part of these mock drafts, in that it's volatile and you get a lot of gems all over the place. And that we've got Jalen Hurts starting the 11th round off, Mike Gesicki, Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown, it's another exciting pick, Marlon Mack, Damian Harris, Tevin Coleman could be something, Jared Cook, Tyler Higbee, Henry Ruggs. I really like that one. And Tony Pollard, Jalen Reagor, Travis Boy. We talked about the Eagles quite a bit, but is Jalen Reagor who you're situating to be that number one wide receiver in Philly? Does Fulgham or anybody else give you pause, or is it Reagor all the way?
I like Reagor. I mean, Fulgham, there were flashes of a few guys, right? And I think that even Ward got involved with Jalen Hurts a little bit too. So I think that Reagor, will have obstacles to overcome. But if we're talking about a second-year guy with game-breaking speed, somebody that Hurts could hit on that big play, and I think in the 11th round of this mock, it just makes a lot of sense to build my depth at the wide receiver position with guys that are, big playmakers. So, yeah, I think Henry Ruggs might have been a guy I'd take ahead of him, but he was already kind of off the board there. Just because I think, Ruggs is a guy that John Gruden loves and just wants to get involved. So we'll see, though. I think Reagor's got some huge upside.
I really like the way that you frame that there. And yeah, that's a guy, if he's available in your 11th, I don't think he's going to still be available that late. But I will say that last year, we didn't see a Philly wide receiver coming off the board until super, super late as well. Because it was Deshaun Jackson who was leading the pack start of year last year. And we just don't yet know who it's going to be. And J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was a high caliber draft prospect who didn't amount to anything. And I think Reagor is the guy. I just think you actually might be able to still get him late, even as August.
Well, yeah, and you nailed it there. And he didn't do anything special last year to warrant taking him a little bit earlier than that. You're just going based off of his outlook, his draft profile from last year, pretty much.
Right. So we're coming here to the end of the 12th round, which will start off our 13th and final round right after that. And Whisper Nation, it's awesome that you are still with us in the live chat. If you haven't yet hit that thumbs up button, please go ahead and hit that button along with the subscribe. Allows us to keep doing what we love to do most here and connect with Whisper Nation and all y'all out there around fantasy football. But what we'll do at the end of this is Big Travie, Johnny Game Time Hicks, and myself will break down our own teams. Y'all let us know who you think won, and then we're going to go through the rest of Whisper Nation's drafted teams in here. Each one of us will give a breakdown of it, our overall grade, and then the other two panelists will agree or slightly disagree with that take before breaking down one for themselves. So stay with us here as the end of the 12th round is coming. The 13th will be over here quick, and then we'll do our famous draft grades for the mock draft as we do
famous
every Monday.
Fantasy Whisper
worldwide, like those burger stands that they're like the best burger in the world. Just,
I mean, we could probably claim that best mock drafters.
No, you can't.
We can't.
I'm trying to think of the word because I have a communications degree with an emphasis on advertising, and one of our upper level courses back in the day was talking about hyperbolic statements. And I need to find the word. I remember it's I think it starts with a J. I'll find it. If anybody in Whisper Nation knows that word of what's it called when you're exaggerating, puffery. It wasn't J. It was a P. Puffery is the word. You are legally allowed to use puffery.
Puffery.
The best cup of coffee in the whole world. You can put that on a billboard because people say, well, that's just puffery. It's okay.
Oh,
so the world famous draft grades coming your way.
Yeah.
No puffery included. So this word, it's real.
It's real, I
swear.
swear.
Man.
It's real. As is Michael Pirines' second season coming in as the force
yeah,
of
dude.
the New York Jets.
He's taking over, dude.
Taking over. He's taking over the coaching role, quarterback role. It's going to be the New York Michael P. Rhines, led by the Michael P. Rhine. Get ready.
We love it.
Yeah, we do. Oh my goodness, who's it going to be?
Travis, how are you feeling about this mock draft here?
Well, I would have liked to get Josh Allen instead of Justin Herbert. I thought it was real close, but Jacob Bley doing Jacob Bley things, sniping me. But I like what I put together. My starting roster, at least. The bench is a little suspect, but that's to be expected with not knowing what's going on in this offseason yet. It's not a clear picture. We don't know where these rookies are going to land, so I'm okay with the hypotheticals in the bench. But yeah, I'm pretty confident in what I've put together so far.
Just trying to get a hot name here so I can make sure to beat y'all on the reviews. That's what I live for. So Whisper Nation, make sure you have followed on Instagram as well. Johnny's going to post a little clip of our 3 teams. This, I think, is what he's going to do. I don't want to put words in his mouth. This is what he's done the last 2 weeks. And, excuse me, that was Travis. And let us know. Let us know whose you thought was the best mock draft. And we'll try it again next week, too. So, again, follow us on Twitter and YouTube so that you can catch the link to this Sleeper app room. Join along with us live. And thanks again to Macedona, FF Grinder, the Fantasy 5, Pyro90926, Ryan Mobley, and Jacob Bley, our #1 fan, for joining us here this Monday, February 8th. We'll be back at you February 15th next week as well. And everybody in Whisper Nation who's following us in the live chat on YouTube. It's awesome to have y'all here with us. We could not do this without you. We wouldn't do this without you. It would be weird and sad.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, what are you kind of thinking in these ends of the rounds and the draft? I know this is a mock. We might be thinking of kickers, defenses. We're not playing that game right now. Who are you looking to pick up? Is it handcuffs? Is it late round dart throws? Anything you got your mind on right now? Actually, you're picking. I'll ask Travis.
Well,
here.
I can tell you right now because I'm about to get a stud right now.
About to win the draft here.
Yeah, win the draft, man. I'm getting rookies,
Kenneth
dude.
Gainwell.
Yeah, dude. I'm getting rookies, man, taking those dart throws. That's what I want to do on these late rounds. You want to get the best dart throws possible that you can, and to give you those best chances. Because here's the reality of our sport. It's very violent. Well, fantasy football isn't violent, but football is violent. And so you want to take the dart throws of guys that could potentially take that job, or if they're injured away from being a league winner. And there are certain guys that are that you could do that with, and so that's where I'm looking. You don't want to necessarily go for a guy that's not on the best offense and taking his backup handcuff, because that doesn't no good. But guys like Jonathan Taylor, his draft stock was significantly lower because he was in an RBBC. We didn't know how that would shake out. And then what happened? Marlon Mack gets injured. All of a sudden, Jonathan Taylor won a lot of people leagues. So that's where I'm looking.
Ipso facto.
Connect the dots.
So he was.
And we're all looking now at a beautiful completed mock draft here.
This is
well done, boys and girls. It is done, but we are just beginning now. Travi here made his final selection, closed out the draft with Jonnu Smith. Ooh, that's a nice little tight end stack you had there at the end of Robert Tonyan and Jonnu Smith. 2 upside plays you were able to get for very, very cheap, Travi. Do you want to go ahead and start us off here at the you just closed out our draft? You want to give us a breakdown of how you got to this point and what you think of your team?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks for the opportunity. Nick Chubb and Jonathan Taylor. I just felt very fortunate to be at the back of a 12-team league and come away with 2 stud, talented running backs with great offensive lines on teams that love to run the football. So that was pretty much a no-brainer for me there. Then I wanted to get, wide receivers that were veins in their offense. Was able to do that with Adam Thielen and A.J. Brown. Tyler Lockett, not so much, but I think in PPR with Russell Wilson, he's going to have some big games. And I think as my 3rd wide receiver, I was, fascinated by getting Tyler Lockett there. Kareem Hunt, I think, is the perfect flex in most leagues, especially in PPR. And then if I get him, the added bonus for me is if anything were to happen to Chubb, I get an RB1 best handcuff in the league right there. So I think they're, most weeks you're playing them. Last year, I think you played them. If you played them together every week, you were happy.
Yeah. What
for
about
the most
last
part.
year, where when he played by himself without Chubb, he wasn't good?
He was actually, he was worse.
Yeah. So what do you say there, dude?
He was still like in the back end RB1 though.
I
right?
still, yeah, he wasn't like, he didn't sink you or anything. It's not like he completely choked.
Johnny's trying to acquire Chubb and Hunt for me in Dynasty.
Yeah,
So
it's
a 4D game.
He's probably trying to get Hunt off of me in this mock draft right now,
Yeah,
but
dude,
it's not
that's
going to
what-
happen, dude.
That's what I'm doing. I'm already starting to wheel and deal, dude.
Yeah, dude. So then I wanted Josh Allen. I thought he was falling big time here in the 7th, and just almost got him there, but went with my boy Justin Herbert instead. I'm happy with Herbert there in the 7th. I think Herbert's going to have a big year. He should take another big step forward. He showed a lot of poise. Just was a really good quarterback last year. Jamar Chase, I think, is one of the most talented wide receivers, if not the most talented in the class coming in. So just wanted to take a gamble at him there, that he gets in the right spot. Same with Javonte Williams. He's one of the top 5 running backs coming in this year. And I was really impressed. Me and Johnny spent some time last week watching Javonte Williams film together. And this guy looked like an Alvin Kamara light, bouncing off of defenders. Just nobody on the first tackle brought him down. And so that's a good sign for the NFL, if you can break tackles at a high rate. Zach Moss, just hoping the takeover happens this upcoming season. We talked a little bit about Jalen Reagor. And then the 2 tight ends, I just wanted to get a stack of guys with big upside, and I think both those guys do have that. So, yeah.
I like it.
I love this draft, Travi.
Yeah,
I don't see any. It's nice.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, like if you want to take an issue with like Thielen over Robinson, or you're talking about main veins, like maybe we'll see Justin Jefferson, but like that's just a personal call.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think from what you wanted to do, you executed really nicely.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that draft.
What about yours, Game Time?
Yeah, I'll go next. I drafted from the 6th spot. Derrick Henry fell to me. We were talking about that, whether he should go. And then I had Aaron Jones in the 2nd. I understand there's rumors, there's always rumors of where he could go. But I think that he's going to be good no matter where he goes. That we do know. So I took him in the 2nd, stacked my RBs. In the 3rd, it was kind of funny. I was looking at George Kittle in the 2nd because I really just liked the George Kittle value in the 2nd. But Aaron Jones was there. So I passed on it. And then George Kittle ended up following me in the 3rd. I was actually looking to go as a wide receiver at that position, but couldn't pass up on the value, so I went there. I had to grab DJ Moore. He was kind of like my favorite wide receiver left. I knew I had to get one in the 4th. And then Kyler in the 5th was a little bit of a panic pick. I wanted to get a wide receiver. I was looking at some RBs. So I ended up going with Kyler. I'm not disappointed. I do think that next year he could be. He was battling for the number 1 overall quarterback position through like 10 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see if he takes another step up. In the 6th, I needed a running back because I only had 2 at that point. So Najee Harris took the running back, number 1 prospect in the class. So I grabbed him. I don't suspect he'll be a 6th rounder once he finds a team. But what the heck? This is a February mock draft, so why not? I needed wide receivers: Marquise Brown, Brandon Ayuk, and Jerry Jeudy. And Corey Davis. You can take him in the 12th. I grabbed those because they're PPR guys, so I just needed trying to find those other guys that have upside. That's what I was looking for. Hunter Henry, I just like the value. And then Damian Harris and Kenneth Gainwell are the 2 running backs that I chose later on. I think that those have high upside picks or running back picks later on in the draft. So that was my draft. I'll be honest with you guys. We've been doing this as a 4th week, first week with rookies in our draft, and this is probably my least favorite draft that we've done. But my team isn't terrible, but I don't know if it's a league winner.
Definitely a fun team. I'm a little nervous about the floor.
Yeah, you said you don't know if it's a league winner. I'll just tell you it's not. No, I thought, you say panic pick with Kyler Murray. I think that's a great panic pick to have. I think Kyler Murray, you talked about him through 10 weeks. He was on pace to beat Lamar Jackson's MVP season as far as fantasy was concerned. Now, some things with the play calling obviously ended up that way. You definitely have some top heavy hitters depending on where Aaron Jones goes. But like that big 3, I think Derrick Henry, George Kittle, and Kyler Murray could be as dangerous as any team that we've got going here today. So.
All right.
Except for maybe not mine, which I'll break down now. I like to have fun on this
Get
one.
after it.
All right, so I started in the 1-1 spot. I went with Alvin Kamara and a couple of guys to consider on this one, but I was really excited actually by the running back room that New Orleans has, and whether it's him or Latavius Murray taking the rock, I think they're doing a really good job, and we've got some question marks from the quarterbacking position, but I just think Alvin Kamara's talent is so good. And comparatively to the rest of the top level running backs, I just actually feel the most safe about his situation and his upside along there. So I really like getting Kamara and then pairing him along with two wide receivers. Julio Jones and DK Metcalf, a couple of main veins. Julio Jones, I know Calvin Ridley was taken right before. I actually wanted to stack Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley up together. But when that wasn't available, I just love the upside presented here with Julio Jones and DK Metcalf. So those are my two wide receivers. Then holding it down, DeAndre Swift and Antonio Gibson, two second-year running backs coming in, who I'm really stoked about. I think those are both going to be top 10 running backs probably by the end of the year. They just need the opportunity, I think, to make that happen. Deshaun Watson was my quarterback, at least my first one. And Will Fuller, we'll see what happens with him. We're dealing with some suspensions, but his upside is just as good as nearly any wide receivers. I'm excited to have him aboard, along with TJ Hawkinson, upside tight end play, Latavius Murray, that handcuff for Alvin Kamara. Jamison Crowder is a name I was really excited to get super late, a guy you're not going to be able to find this late come August, September. He just showed just too much consistency when he played. His second to last week, he had like 20 points. And then Jalen Hurts, I think his prospect from a fantasy perspective is really good. Also, just from a football one, if you're an Eagles fan, you're excited about him, no doubt. Michael Piron's probably going to be their starting running back. He was drafted in, I think, the third or fourth round last year. And Frank Gore, I don't think is going to be really a competition for him, especially if they try to take this season seriously. More ahead on that, we'll see. And then Christian Kirk, we know the upside's there for him. He's not going to overtake DeAndre Hopkins, but he doesn't need to still be efficient. So that's what it was. That's my draft. Here we go.
This is reminds me, and obviously Whisper Nation isn't as adept to this because they don't play in our league of record, but this reminds me of an old school Austin Sear team right here. A lot of upside, a lot of fun, swinging for the fence on these guys with like Alvin Kamara, DK Metcalf. Love the Hawkinson and Fuller pick. Like, let's see where Fuller winds up, because that could be a big addition somewhere. And then Deshaun Watson and Hurts, man, what a combo to have. You might give yourself a headache with that one, like not knowing which guy to put in each week, but that's a good problem to have, as we like to say.
I like that. All right,
so that was.
We want to jump into these other
the world
teams?
famous,
the world
famous draft grades. Here we go. World famous draft grades. No puffery attached. I ended the last one. I'll go ahead and just start this one. We'll just bounce it back. Macedonia was the number 2 position. He took Christian McCaffrey in the second round, Kenyon Drake, a couple of wide receivers there to go along with him, and Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Mark Andrews is his 5th round pick. That'll be his tight end. Ronald Jones is his 3rd running back. Devontae Parker is his 3rd wide receiver. Tannehill is going to be his starting quarterback. Tyler Boyd, Emmanuel Sanders, Curtis Samuel. There's 3 bench wide receivers. Gesicki, backup tight end, and Nyheim Hines there. I think their first 5 picks are all really good. Kenyon Drake, if he keeps holding on to that, I think it's a fine where he got him. Christian McCaffrey can never go wrong there. I think Mike Evans next year is on a trajectory to have a really good season. Terry McLaurin 2, Mark Andrews 3. I don't have an issue with any pick that he made here. Maybe Nyheim Hines at the end, but still not even. I think this is a pretty good squad. It's hard for me to take issue with it. I'm not blown away. That might not be his fault at all. It's just kind of what's available there as well. This is a B+. This is a B+ for me. Maybe you could talk me into an A-, because I don't see any weaknesses, but I'm just not in love with it either. Not his fault. B+ for me.
I don't have anything starkly different from that take. There are a lot of guys where you're just like, they're maybe just not for me, but they're definitely producers. There's production there to be had for sure. Yeah.
Big Trav, you want to take us on him?
Yeah, I'll go with FF Grinder. I want to thank him. He was in the chat, said it was a lot of fun. I want to thank him for joining us today. I think it was the first time I've seen FF Grinder in here with us, so appreciate him popping in. Went with the upside down, and we're in a PPR 3 wide receiver league, so this is kind of the spot you can do that. went Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen. I mean, you've got the pop with Ridley, you've got the consistency with Devontae Adams, and then you have the consistency with Keenan Allen. I love these wide receivers. James Conner's an interesting running back. We're going to have to figure out where he lands. If Pittsburgh brings him back, I don't think they're interested in doing that, but we'll see. And then Cam Akers, I think, is a smash pick right here. I really like Cam Akers next year. I think he finished the year strong, was healthy, and McVay definitely showed his hand that he wants to lean on him. Dak Prescott's another one that I think is going to be, maybe we'll have to see, but everything points to his ankle coming back well. And I just read today that he'll probably be franchise tagged if they can't get a deal done. So it looks like he's going to be in Dallas with that team regardless. Come on, Jerry Jones, just pay the man.
Yeah, seriously.
Cortland Sutton, we talked about Sutton being kind of a value as well. Myles Gaskin, I think, is a huge value too. If he can be the guy, like we saw whoever the guy was, and a lot of it was Gaskin, was very successful. Sterling Shepard is a lock for 10 to 15 points in PPR if he's healthy. So I think that's a solid bench piece there. Phillip Lindsay, I'm not sure where he's going to be and how he'll do where he goes. So we'll have to see how that goes. Just not a guy that wows me ever.
For any team he's on,
yeah,
even when he produces.
Big Travis likes to be wowed.
Yeah. Chase Claypool, I think, is a nice steal here too in the 11th. Especially depends on what happens with Juju. Because Claypool's usage could really rise if Juju ends up leaving. And we've talked about Juju not being someone they wanted to extend. So we'll see how that shakes out. Cole Kmet was getting nice usage down the stretch, so he could be an interesting tight end sleeper. And then Dallas Goedert, I actually would have taken instead of Jonnu had he fallen me to the 13th. So I love Grinder's team here. I think that he's a little weak at running back just because we don't know what's up with Connor. We don't know where he's going to land. So I think that's a little bit of the weakness. And I'm just not a huge fan of the Lindsey pick, but I think that he's strong everywhere else pretty much. Maybe tight end's a little shaky, but I think Goddard's going to be really good next year. I'd give it I think it's similar to Macedonia where it's a B+ for me. I think the running back, I'd actually go just B. I'm not going to give him the plus. I'm going to go B just because of the running back situation.
That was the exact grade for me. Just a little bit below Macedonia's.
Yeah, I would.
Still a good team.
That's what I had. B. All right. I will jump to Fantasy 5, which is our good friend. And so he's probably going to have a great draft here. Well, I can already tell you, looking at his in prep, as Austin was getting the last breakdown, I was prepping for my breakdown here. And this is an awesome team here. Started off with the 3 running back approach: Dalvin Cook, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, all 3 running backs that are very good in PPR. Then he took Darren Waller in the 4th, which I think is very good value at the tight end position, especially in a PPR. OBJ, Deontay Johnson, T. Higgins in the middle rounds there. And then he grabbed Joe Burrow as his quarterback in the 8th. He took Robbie Anderson in the 9th, and then A.J. Dillon in the 10th. Antonio Brown in the 11th, Chuba Hubbard in the 12th, which I really like that pick. He got a really good pick there. That's who I was kind of hoping would fall to me in the 13th, but didn't. He was sniping my picks all day long. And then he took Trevor Lawrence in the 13th. I really do like his team. Obviously, there are huge question marks. Joe Burrow, his health when with that knee, and then Trevor Lawrence obviously being a rookie quarterback. But we've seen the last few years these rookie quarterbacks really do come on strong if they have the right system around them. That would just be my one caveat: is how great is the Jags system going to be? Hopefully it's good. But I like this team. I would give this team probably an A-. I don't know if I'd go straight up A because I do have some question marks at the quarterback. But I do overall like this team. I'd give it an A-.
I'd give this an A if it was a dynasty team drafted 2 years ago. That one for me, it's just like it's good there. I'm a little concerned about Odell Beckham. I love that he is the guy though. They should be working really, really hard to get him back to alpha status coming off that injury. T. Higgins looks like he's gonna have a really good career ahead of him. Tyler Boyd is still in the mix. Joe Burrow had a really nice start before he went down. It's just not guaranteed type production as much as you can guarantee anything in the NFL. So I'm a little bit nervous from the floor perspective on these players: Odell Beckham, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow even. pretty low floors. And then the other guys don't have like through the roof ceilings, but it's still really good. I think I'd probably go B plus. If it was a different quarterback situation, it would take a half a letter grade higher for me.
Yeah, I'm similar to Austin's take on the wide receivers. I don't mean to kind of crucify Ryan here, but I do think that the wide receivers should be good, but they're definitely those guys that are probably going to burn you a few times in OBJ and Deontay Johnson. And honestly, Ben is really the one that burns you with Deontay Johnson, because I don't know where Ben's at. Like, is Ben going to be good enough? He looked cooked at the end of last year. So we'll just have to see how that all shakes out.
Dude,
but I thought that A.J. Dillon was a huge steal.
Hey, you don't have to worry, because they got old boy.
Your boy Strip Club Dwayne.
Dwayne Haskins is now in.
Strip Club Dwayne.
Oh my God. Strip Club Dwayne, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So.
We didn't see Strip Club Dwayne picked up on anybody's team. We'll see if that switches up as the season gets closer. Pyro0926 drafted in the 5th spot. I'm going to break him down here. He took Saquon Barkley with his 5th spot. Can't go wrong taking a talent like that at that position there. We'll see how his reports from that ACL tear progress. Stephon Diggs there in the 2nd. Love that. He is a true number 1. I think he's only going to get better with Josh Allen. Those two are very good for one another, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. Justin Jefferson, wow, like talk about excitement coming into his 2nd year. J.K. Dobbins, it is his backfield now. They're still going to keep Gus Edwards or Justice Hill or whomever they end up drafting. It doesn't seem like John Harbaugh ever wants to give a running back a true bell cow load, even if they're ready to handle it. Maybe it's wise in the long run. Not the best for fantasy, but this is the running back that you want hands down for sure in J.K. Dobbins. DJ Shark, no one's challenging for that top spot. Trevor Lawrence is arguably an upgrade. Jalen Waddle, love to see these rookie wide receivers starting to become a part of the mix. Aaron Rodgers showed what he's about. I think that probably continues next year too. My Super Bowl MVP is 43 years old. Aaron Rodgers is going to be okay. Michael Gallup, we talked about that at the start of the episode. Sneaky pick there, I like it. Evan Ingram and Hayden Hurst is a nice upside tight end stack. Marlon Mack, will just see how that shakes out. Cole Beasley had a surprisingly good year, and Michael Pittman, you expect to continue to progress. I think this is a good team. I don't have any issues with any of the picks that were taken here. I really like the upside. I think that the floor plays that he had are calculated risks, if you will, and guys like DJ Chark, Justin Jefferson, Michael Gallup, I think that their floor is baked in, or their downside is baked into their position. I think he capitalized on all this. Good value, good upside. I have B plus, borderline A minus for me. Probably like a flat 90, 89.
I like it. 89. That's a good one.
I don't have any arguments with that breakdown, really. I think he's pretty solid all the way through.
He did a good job. I think this is his first time joining, so hopefully he'll come back next week and join us again next week. I like what he did. All right, Big Travis, you get to bring us home, because Ryan Mobley was auto pick all night. So we will just finish out the show with Jacob Bley, our number 1 fan.
All right, number 1 fan, number 1 sniper. This guy, when the draft opened up, he picks 10. Then he sees I got 12. He moves closer. He moves just over to 11.
Did he really?
He just had he got right.
Good job.
Social distance, please, Jacob. All right, 6 feet, please. No, Jacob, really appreciate you as always. The support has been there since day one, and you have killed another draft, I'm sure. We'll roll through here. Travis Kelce at the end of the 1st. Look, we've talked about this at length too. This Austin's got the mask on. Yeah. Travis Kelce basically was a wide receiver, and a really good one at that for fantasy football purposes. DeAndre Hopkins, James Robinson, just 2 solid plays after that. Robert Woods, CeeDee Lamb. The CeeDee Lamb pick, I would have rather had CeeDee than Tyler Lockett, just to play a little bit more upside there, but you sniped him. Travis Etienne, we'll have to see where he lands. Me and Johnny were looking at his tape too, and you guys can listen to the podcast. We break down Travis Etienne and some of the other guys. We'll see. He's definitely a playmaker. He had a nose for the end zone in college. I just want to see where he goes. He's going to need the right system, I think, to make it work next year. Josh Allen, I've talked about him being sniped here from me. So Jacob Bley, you're going to get mega points for that, because I was looking right at him. And the 7th round for Josh Allen would have been an absolute steal, and it was almost the 8th round, really. Devonta Smith, Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel was another one. I couldn't even believe he was still there. I think, he's getting a little bit of a discount because of the injury last year, but him healthy, he'll be a good fantasy option next year. Chase Edmonds, we talked, Johnny talked a little bit about that and what that could look like. Tony Pollard's another interesting one. I got to give Austin credit for kind of turning our heads to Tony Pollard a little bit for next year. We see the usage that he got towards the end of last year, the usage that they scaled back of Zeke's, and Pollard put some nice juice on tape last year for sure. Matthew Stafford, we've talked about that trade. I think that's a solid backup. And then Madison is just a premier handcuff. So if you can stack one of those and keep it away from your opponents in the league, that's good. Look, I think he's got an A. I don't have a weakness here. All the wide receivers are good. The running backs. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe if we work under the hypothetical that Chase Edmonds is the starter, then I think that this is an A. I'll probably have to give him a B+ just because of ETN being your RB2 is a little shaky. But other than that, I think you killed it, Jacob, like always.
Yeah,
he's right there for me too.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool how he this was completely different way of mock drafting, and it turned out really well. I thought he did a good job. So, and then the other thing I want to note is, why does Austin have so many masks so close and readily available to his camera and desk? What are you doing? A lot of Skype and Zoom calls where you put your
Johnny,
face mask on?
when you bring the heat, you don't stop spitting, and that's where it's found in those droplets. So
The
I need to
spittle.
make sure that I've always got
Yeah.
enough masks
Yeah,
here
jeez.
for whatever I need to do.
He's got the mask. It's like future mask on.
Yeah.
Instead of
Mask
mask
on,
off.
never mask off. We got our son's mask here. We got playing
Ooh.
today.
Wow, we got a lot here. All right. Well, wait. What grade did we end up with, Jacob Bley?
I gave him a B+. I wanted to give him an A, but the running backs just scare me just a little bit. The lack of running back depth there.
Yeah, I agree with
I mean,
that.
if ETN goes to the wrong situation, or God forbid gets hurt in his rookie year, then you've got James Robinson and a bunch of right now are handcuffs. So,
But I mean,
we'll have to see how that shakes out.
but he could have Chase Edmonds as the starter, and let's say Travis
He could.
Etienne goes to Atlanta, and then it's like all of a sudden this
Sure.
team is.
Sure, he could.
So you're saying
And
that
that's why
as
you
of
got
right
to
now?
stay
All
with
right,
us.
all right.
You got to stay with the Fantasy Whispers. Make sure you've liked and subscribed, because there's going to be a lot of movement happening all offseason. Offseason is going to happen. Teams are going to draft players. Rosters are going to change. Stay with the Fantasy Whispers from now until your draft to have all of the movement documented week in, week out. Be sure to join us next week. We do our mock drafts every single Monday. We got rookies in the mix. It's getting exciting. I'm just looking forward to what's coming up ahead.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Until next time, we're the Fantasy
I'm
Whispers.
Austin Sear. We're out.
Okay,
He's Austin. I'm Travis. That's Johnny. We're out.
That's how we do this.
yeah. Peace.
Love you guys.
Peace.